So, based off of what happened in the 2022 NFC Championship game, the NFL changed a rule or modified a rule that allowed teams to have three quarterbacks in uniform on game days without counting toward the 48 player limit. And the 49ers have never taken advantage of that. And they just believe that it doesn't really make sense to just waste a roster spot. If they're only going to keep two quarterbacks on their 53 man, then they felt like that third quarterback spot would be taking a roster spot away from somebody who's more deserving and somebody who has a greater chance of helping the team. The reason I note this is because the 49ers made some roster moves on Tuesday, and one of them was to release off their practice squad a player who has been, in essence, their backup quarterback and their third quarterback. That's Adrian Martinez. So very interesting. Couple roster moves. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but also a very positive sign for the 49ers. They also released Matt Gay. Obviously, that's not real positive news for Matt Gay, who was on the 49ers practice squad for 2 games while Eddie Pinheiro was out with a hamstring injury. But what this does show is that the 49ers expect Eddie Pinheiro, who's now been cleared to return to action. They expect him to kick on Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. So Matt Gay did his job. Came in for 2 games, 4 for 4 on field goals, 4 for 4 on extra points. And now the 49ers will probably keep his number on file in case he's needed again. But Matt Gay did his job. And now Eddie Pinheiro, who's been 24 or 22 of 22 since coming to the 49ers in week 2, he returns to the 49ers. The other interesting note, Javon Baker, he's in his second year. He was a 4th round pick of the New England Patriots last year. Didn't get on the field much at all. He did appear in 11 games, but only 1 start, 1 catch for 12 yards. He was a 4th round pick from University of Central Florida. Javon Baker, the 49ers brought him in for a workout last week, and today they signed him to the practice squad. So those are the practice squad moves. Javon Baker, a 6'1", 202-pound wide receiver. He comes to the 49ers practice squad, and the 49ers release Matt Gay and Adrian Martinez. Okay, let's go back to the Adrian Martinez situation. The 49ers had a need at quarterback earlier in the year when Brock Purdy was out of the lineup. He missed 8 games, so Mac Jones was the 49ers starter for those 8 games. They went out, they only kept the 2 quarterbacks on their initial 53 man. Then they bring in Adrian Martinez, and he was on the practice squad for a bit. They would elevate him for game days, and then they moved into the 53-man roster to serve as the backup to Mac Jones. Martinez was in uniform for those 8 games with the 49ers. He only saw action 1 snap against the New York Giants, a kneel down at the end of that game. Now, what's interesting, I think, is that the 49ers do like to have 3 quarterbacks in the building. Right now, they do have 3 quarterbacks in the building. They did open the practice window for Curtis Rourke coming off of the PUP, or actually it's NFI. So PUP is if you get hurt in an NFL game. For Curtis Rourke, NFI, non-football injury, it's really a football injury. He had a torn ACL that he played through last season at Indiana, had the surgery in January. The 49ers still drafted him in the 7th round. What this shows is that, well, why it's interesting is that the 49ers cannot put Curtis Rourke on the practice squad. They've opened the practice window for him, so he has 21 days. The team has 21 days to figure out what they want to do. At the end of the 21 days, here are the options. They either activate him to the 53-man roster, they keep him on the NFI list for the rest of the season, meaning he can't play anymore or not even be eligible to play. And the other thing would be to release him. So if the 49ers were to want him on their practice squad and not open a spot on the 53-man roster, they'd have to release him. Then he'd have to clear waivers, and then they could bring him back to the practice squad. They're not going to do that. They invested a 7th-round pick on him, and so I think another team would probably claim him if they were to release him and then try to bring him back to the practice squad. So I think now, the options are that they activate him to the 53 man and they keep 3 quarterbacks on their roster for the final, whatever it's going to be, the final one game of the regular season, and then going into the postseason. Um, but if they do that, they'd have to create a roster spot for him. And then potentially he could be a player when he's on the 53 man that they could suit up and have available for that final game of the regular season and also for the postseason. Now, just going back to that 2022, actually it was January of 23 playoff game, the 49ers only had the 2 quarterbacks in uniform for that game. And at that point, there wasn't a rule, third quarterback rule. So when Brock Purdy sustained his elbow injury and then Josh Johnson had a concussion, it basically deteriorated into a horrible game for everybody. Christian McCaffrey was basically the quarterback. He was the only one who threw a downfield pass in that game. Brock Purdy could barely throw the ball. I think he completed one pass with his elbow barking at him. And I don't even know how he completed that. He completed 2 passes in that game, one of which after his elbow almost fell off. So it appears as if there's going to be a very good chance that Curtis Rourke is the 49ers number 3 quarterback later here in the season. I mean, he already is the 3rd quarterback, unless the 49ers are going to sign another quarterback that I don't know of. That seems to be something that's happening around the league with Phillip Rivers signing to the practice squad of the Indianapolis Colts. But Martinez is a guy. We'll see what the offseason is like. But Martinez was a guy that we really hadn't seen him play. He hasn't played in an NFL game. He was with the Jets during the Robert Saleh time, his last year there, and the 49ers kind of handpicked him, and he's been with the team from week 2 on. And so now that he's not even on the practice squad, you kind of wonder about, what his career has in store for him, if the 49ers are going to bring him back for the offseason program and get a longer look at him. But to me, it bodes well for Curtis Rourke and how he's coming along, how he's digesting everything, the playbook. And so, just to spin it into the offseason, is this guy the kind of player that the 49ers could envision next season being a backup, being a number 2 quarterback for the team? And if so, would the 49ers then look to deal Mac Jones if the right trade possibility becomes available? Would they feel maybe obligated a little bit? There's not much room for sentimentality in the NFL, but what Mac Jones did in his 8 games as a 49ers starter, 49ers went 5-3 in those games. If an opportunity for him to be a full-time starter with another team becomes available, which also would entail him getting a bigger contract with another team if a deal were to be executed, would the 49ers feel obligated to make that trade? I would say that they would only feel obligated to make that trade if they feel that Curtis Rourke is capable of stepping in and being the number 2 guy. So those are some of the machinations with the 49ers practice squad, what it means. No Matt Gay means yes, Eddie Pinheiro. No Adrian Martinez means, yes, Curtis O'Rourke is here. And then for Javon Baker, a guy who's talented, a guy who played 2 seasons at Alabama, 2 seasons at Central Florida. And in his 2 years at Central Florida, 108 receptions for 1,935 yards and 2 touchdowns. A good enough career, putting up good enough film that the Patriots grabbed him at number 110 overall in the 2024 draft in the 4th round. So, um, kind of the practice squad and how it affects the 53 man, how it affects the team. Some very interesting practice squad acquisitions here with Eric Kendricks, the veteran linebacker, coming in after not playing for the first 14, 15 weeks of the season. He's now in the building and ready perhaps to make a contribution, ready perhaps to get a uniform on game days, and where he fits in remains to be seen. While I'm at it, I might as well just show you a list of who's on the 49ers practice squad right now. So there it is. That's where the 49ers are, what the 49ers practice squad looks like right now. 3 wide receivers, including Junior Bergen, a draft pick, Braden Willis. He's seen some action with the 49ers. A couple of veterans on the offensive line, Brandon Parker and Nick Zakelj. In fact, the 49ers on Monday, when they placed Ben Bartch on injured reserve, it wasn't Parker or Zakelj they activated to the 53-man roster. It was going out and getting Garrett Wallow, a special teams guy, linebacker special teams, formerly with the Broncos. Evan Anderson, remember the rookie year he had. He's been on the practice squad the whole year. Sebastian Valdez, good start to training camp for him. I know he was a fan favorite there for a while. He was elevated one time from the 49ers practice squad, but never appeared in a game or has not yet appeared in a game. And then the linebackers I spoke of, Eric Kendricks, of course, and Jalen Graham, who's been up, Eli Apple, who's seen some action with the 49ers as well, at least his veteran player, a cornerback, formerly, most notably, with the New York Giants. So there's the 49ers practice squad as it currently sits. No quarterback, no running back, with Jordan James, a running back from the Oregon Ducks. He's probably the guy who does most of the scout team work. He and Isaac Grindo, 0 touches so far this season for a draft pick last year, who I thought played pretty well, all things considered, as a rookie. So, and also now quarterback, the guy who's going to be doing some of the stuff that a scout team quarterback does. Usually it's the 49ers backup quarterback who runs the scout team. So Mac Jones will be doing a lot of the scout team work, but I'm sure they'll have an opportunity to mix Curtis O'Rourke in there a little bit as well. So those are the roster moves. Those are the transactions, practice squad, but kind of notable practice squad moves from the 49ers on this Tuesday. They didn't have anybody in for tryouts this week, as they've done that in the past. I think I mentioned Baker came in for a tryout last week with a few of the other wide receivers, and he's the one that they decided to go with. A lot of times this point of year, because of the running involved in practices, 49ers and teams want to be a little bit heavier at wide receiver, just to take some of the load off of these guys who have been at it for many months now. So those are the 49ers moves on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for watching this video. And that is it for now.